Well, thank you all for joining us today as FLVC concludes Quality Teaching and Learning Month with our panel called The Future of Distance Learning in Florida. Today, we're joined by a group of experts in distance learning representing state university system and Florida college system institutions from around the state. Our panelists are, from left to right, Kevin Corcoran, who is Assistant Vice Provost for the Center for Distributed Learning at the University of Central Florida. Robert Fuselier, Senior Director, Office of Digital Learning and Academic Technology at Florida State University. Rozalind Jester, Assistant Vice President, Strategic Innovation and Online Learning, Florida Southwestern State College. Evangelia Prevolis, Associate Vice President, FIU Online and Digital Experiences, Florida International University. Phil Simpson, we're out of order here. Josh Strigle, Dean of E-Learning and Academic Services, College of Central Florida. And Phil Simpson, Vice President, Academic and Student Affairs and Chief Academic Officer for Eastern Florida State College. I'm Vicki Westergard, Interim Director of Online Learning at Hillsborough Community College. And as today's moderator, I'll facilitate this engaging exploration of online learning as the panelists share their insights and expertise. So we have a number of questions we'll go through today, and we will start with a brief introduction for each of you. Introduce yourselves and tell us, how long have you been involved as a leader in distance learning? And give us a big picture summary of the types of support your team provides to faculty and students. And we'll start with Kevin.
Well, thank you, Vicki. Welcome, everyone. I may or may not be fully AI, but you'll have to judge on your own as we go through here. But I am Kevin Corcoran. I am from UCF. I've been involved in distance learning for about 30 years now, 26 years in higher ed, last 2 here at UCF. As far as leadership, I've had an executive role for about 15 years now in various aspects and institutions. Within the Center for Distributed Learning at UCF, we provide a wide variety of services for students and faculty around our blended and fully online modalities. Much of it is around infrastructure support, the LMS, technical support, but we do quite a bit in supporting our faculties, from professional development to instructional design support, content development that may be graphics, media. We've developed some learning platforms and some accessibility platforms, and we're starting to dip both our toes, our big toes, into learning analytics. So with that, I'll pass it on.
All right. Next up is Robbie.
Thanks, Vicki. Hi, everybody. I am Robbie Fuselier. I am the Senior Director for the Office of Digital Learning and Academic Technology at Florida State University. So we have a pretty large suite of services that we offer to. Originally, we were focused on distance learning, but we support the bulk of the academic technology on campus. So this would be, your Canvas or LMS, Turnitin, all of the different types of things that we use. We also support the classroom technology as well. So we work with faculty all across campus. We have a large shop for course development assistance. We focus primarily on the distance learning courses in that area, but we help our face-to-face faculty as well. We do tech support. We have a help desk here on site. We facilitate instructor training, consultations. We have a unique spot here where we run the testing center for the university for face-to-face classes as well. So we seat about 260 students at a time. And within that testing center, we also are closely connected with academic integrity efforts on campus. And we manage the remote proctoring services as well. And I guess in addition to that, we have a good bit of compliance and reporting that we do on our site as well. This would be your NC-SARA type reporting and things like that for our various entities and accreditors.
Excellent.
I'm happy to be here. Thanks, Vicki.
Rozalind.
Hi, everyone. I'm Roz Jester. I'm at Florida Southwestern State College down here in Fort Myers. And I've been in a leadership role related to online learning since my early days as faculty when I was chairing our e-learning committee, and that transitioned to an administrator role about 8 years ago. So since then, I've been in IT. I now live in academic affairs. And when I think about my team, I'd say it's not traditional in the sense that they're all my direct reports. And that in academic affairs, my job really is to make sure that we have the policies in place to ensure quality online learning, faculty and student support, but also to collaborate with stakeholders across campus, including student affairs, IT, to make sure that faculty and students have the support they need. So like the others, that includes instructional design services, lots of professional development for both faculty and students. We facilitate an online student readiness course with our student workers. We implement all kinds of different technology for online learning and otherwise. And some of the new things that we're doing now that we're excited about are an online student advisory board that we've recently launched to make sure we're hearing the student voice, as well as a community of practice for faculty, staff, and students, and a new Discord server to kind of build our community off the campus, offsite, I'd say. So we're kind of dabbling in all kinds of things, but for us, it's about understanding the faculty and student experience and how can we make that better.
I'm learning many new things today that I probably knew once and forgot. Leah, you're next.
Hi, everybody. So Leah Prevolis, AVP FIU Online. I have been in distance learning, which funny enough is distinct from online learning. When I started, we were burning lectures on DVDs and mailing them out to students. So distance is rooted in that. I started here at the university almost 20 years ago, when it was an experimental kind of modality. And have been really given the opportunity to in the heavy growth startup phase really help build it up, bring the instructional design job description here for the first time when it was only really tethered to like the corporate sector. So really seen a lot of growth there. Our unit is our university's internal online program experience provider, OPX, if you will. And under that, we have several different services. So we manage the online student services from prospect, from interest through to graduation. And that would be through our recruitment contact center and then our success coaches when they're enrolled students to champion them through to clear any hurdles, help with time management, liaise with their faculty or academic advisors. We know all of our students have been historically non-traditional. Our students have tried college many different times. We want this to be their last time and complete their degree. They come with several transcripts. Majority female, majority over the age of 26. Our oldest student was 87. We're very proud of him walking across stage eventually in graduation. And then we do have, of course, we have marketing services because we market the programs on behalf of our academic units. Course development is probably our biggest operation, and very similar to UCF. We're built very similarly there. We do have kind of a maintenance and a new course segment in our system where we're very concierge when the faculty is teaching for the first time, and then really are just available for them in maintenance as needed. So full gamut of services. We're really proud of having student assistants starting their careers with us and figuring out that there is, opportunities in higher ed for them, even if it is development, marketing, things that do have their own industries, but can also be applied to higher ed.
Very good. I love hearing about the older graduates, and sometimes their grandkids are graduating with them. That's always fun.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Next is Josh.
All right. Thanks, Vicki. Josh Strigle, Dean of E-Learning and Academic Services at the College of Central Florida. And I was one of those student assistants back in 1998, when a student assistant could be the dual LMS admin of two LMSs. We were running WebCT and Blackboard simultaneously. So I got to administer both of those platforms. The department has grown to include most of the things you've heard from my colleagues. But under my umbrella also live library, faculty professional development, tutoring, and coordinating the college course schedule. So I've got kind of a unique placement where I get to leverage all of those tangential things, the online tutoring through academic support, work with the libraries closely on the electronic resources, all of those concerns when we need to develop faculty for things like AI and accessibility concerns for online classes. Having faculty professional development under my umbrella has really helped us. So, bring it back. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Tosh. And now, at the end, where everybody's already given all the answers, I'm sure that Phil Simpson has plenty of things to add.
Well, some of this will be a retread, so I'm sorry about that. But
no, it's all right.
But I think it just would go. It shows, both the diversity of services we offer from college to university, but also the commonalities we have.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be my story and what I say here, and I'm going to stick to it. So,
very good.
But yeah, Phil Simpson, for the past year or so, I've been serving as Vice President of Academic and Student Services here at the college. Before that, however, I've been involved in online teaching at Eastern Florida State College, or what was then Brevard Community College, for about 25 years, give or take. Back in the days when not only were DVDs involved, but we had prepackaged courses that we were broadcasting through our television station, and I was a teacher for those. We even had what was called a television interactive room way back when, which kind of reminds me full circle with some of our high flex modalities that we have on campus now. Obviously, the technology has been much improved since the old time classrooms. But that was my first exposure to distance learning as a faculty member here. And then, of course, began migrating as an institution into LMSs. And we've been through a number of them by this point. Started with Blackboard, as I recall. Went to Angel after that. Now we're with Canvas. So we do offer a suite of services housed under one roof, as it were. But as a couple of folks have already said, we don't really have, say, a centralized person who oversees all of it. It's more of a suite of services that are coordinated. And I'll talk about how that's coordinated under the umbrella of Eastern Florida Online. So at Eastern Florida Online, if you want to divide it into buckets of services for our faculty and students, I'll start with faculty professional development. So we have a dean of instruction who's been tasked with developing workshops about delivery in particular in online classes for our instructors. And so we do have a pretty robust set of workshops for faculty about how to just improve not only their online design, but also their delivery. She is tasked with our online quality review program, which is where we are working to make our courses either quality or high quality for upload into the Florida Shines catalog. And that's relatively recent for us, but it's strongly underway now, and our faculty are really responding to that. So the Dean of Instruction is overseeing a lot of that. Oh, and she also oversees some of what I think Robbie referred to as compliance services, Sarah, and our Florida Shines uploads and other things involved with distance education here at the college that someone needs to specifically have hands-on and do to make them happen for compliance. We also have an academic technology group of staff, and they are responsible for helping our faculty with, navigating the LMS, among other functions, also helping them with the various apps or features that we have integrated into the LMS, such as Harmonize, but there's plenty of others. They are a much beloved team here at the college. Our faculty that teach online or even in the classroom, for that matter, with hybrid courses in particular. The faculty love our academic technology staff. They are there to help our faculty, and the faculty are very much appreciative of that. Our academic technology team also delivers the training for new to online instruction faculty. And it's kind of a nuts and bolts kind of course. And really designed for faculty that are either inexperienced with teaching online or brand new to it, but also serves as a good refresher for faculty that have been teaching online for a while, but need to learn, some new techniques or strategies for design and delivery. So that's our academic technology folks. And then, of course, we have our IT personnel who work with students who need that kind of support, our help desk, for example. And so it's like I said, it's kind of a umbrella. When I refer to Eastern Florida Online, it's our branding, so to speak, but it covers a wide range of services, which I think is true for what most of us have described here today. Our scheduling, by the way, I just want to mention that. Our scheduling of our online classes is done by department or division, but we are working toward what I would call more centralized master schedule oversight and process, and that would include online under it. That is underway even as we speak, because I do see some issues with the decentralized kind of scheduling for online classes. And so we used to have, I think one or two of you have mentioned this, that your online classes are scheduled through your division. That used to be us too with Eastern Florida Online. About 3 or 4 years ago, we moved away from that, and it has advantages and disadvantages. The division level scheduling works, I think, but we need some oversight there again. And so we're moving back towards some degree of that. So that's kind of where we are at Eastern Florida.
All right. Well, thank you, Phil. So as you can see, we all have a lot of different things where I think all of us end up coordinating with lots of people around our college, even if things don't report directly to us. We're constantly working with others around the college. It takes a village to get your online learning going and keep it flourishing. So we have all these things that we're doing as administrators, and we have to keep a focus on two really important populations, students for one, but also faculty. So in your experience, what gets faculty excited about innovation? Leah, we want to start off with you.
Yeah, so I think what really gets them started and keeps them going is when it's not abstract, right? Like along the course building journey, there can be very many little things and very large things that are done in forms of effort to really impact that learning experience. But when it's something tangible that they can see, whether it's student engagement measurement or the learning outcomes are improving, I really think that's where the success is, in pairing the innovation with purpose, with meaningful purpose. So all of those efforts, you can really see the positive results in that. Because really putting in all of that time, it can be a real challenge for the faculty, and they also need kind of a safe space to try different things in their course and learn and iterate with partners on in that course experience. And so we try to support curiosity over perfection there, and really show whether it's the learning outcomes or student engagement measures, which all of our tools that we have give us some sort of measure there, whether it's time reading an article or watching a video, or how many clicks on this page, or I was idle on that one. So all of that can help inform it and make it more tangible to really adopt and invest time in the innovation.
I think that's important, and it's easy to try to push forward through things, but we do need space to fail when we want to innovate, because we're doing things a lot of times that haven't been done before. And so we don't know what to expect. Roz, did you want to?
I'll chime in here a little bit. I love what you said about curiosity over perfection. I had to jot that down because I want to take that home. When I was thinking about this question, what came to mind for me is time. Can we give them their time back? They need time to play. And I think a real concern that all of us have right now is faculty burnout and change fatigue. And, innovation is kind of a buzzword right now. It's even in my job title. But nailing down what exactly is considered innovation, I think varies across the board and depending on your institution and where you're at. But to me, it boils down to how do we get faculty excited about change? And, again, that's where I think there's got to be something that is going to either reconnect them with students, improve that experience, and I think it's not always technology related either, right? So change and innovation can happen outside of the computer. But, the things that reconnect them, and I'd say some of the most excitement and fun I've seen faculty have recently is in our online community of practice, where we have students and staff and our director of online teaching and learning experience. Hi, Heather. I see her in the audience here. She's done a fantastic job structuring that in a way that is playful. So the mood is very light, but we talk about things that we know are barriers, and faculty are hearing directly from students about what their challenges are, what the things that their faculty are doing that's helping them. And this has led already to just having small bites of information that they could take back and implement in their classrooms the next day. So I think that's been really exciting and has encouraged them to want to try new things that otherwise they just feel like, oh gosh, another thing, right? So new tools, if we're thinking of technology, new tools I think that are helping us see each other in the virtual space, for discussion boards and kind of reimagining that space has been exciting too. So yeah, can we save them time? Can we help them see their impact? Give them that safe space. Let's see. I think those are some of the notes I've had around that. Yeah.
And the payoff of how is it impacting students? Are you seeing them be more engaged and successful? I think is the ultimate goal for all of us. So online learning is constantly growing and evolving as new topics and tools and even students' expectations are changing. What would you say are your greatest challenges in online learning today? And we're going to start off with Phil on this one.
I'd say that there are so many, right? But to try to narrow it down, I think that one issue that, is a real challenge is to take Roz's comments as a springboard into this. It's the faculty support and development piece of this for online teaching. I think, or in design and delivery, really. I think that there's, as always with faculty, there's workload concerns. There's the possibility of burnout with ever increasing workload and demands upon their time. And there's a lot of resistance to certain kinds of technology. I know that almost sounds like an oxymoron when you're talking about faculty who teach online, but it's very true. When faculty get comfortable with a certain set of online tools or applications, changing that or coming up with new ways of maybe trying to do, the same thing, which is to increase student success, a lot of that can get in the way. And there's just that learning curve that comes with new applications and new technology. So, but I think probably the biggest challenge is that our faculty, in my experience, they want to make sure that their students succeed. They want to have every tool at their disposal to make sure that they can do that. But the institution has to be very intentional about how they offer professional development to help instructors be the best instructors they can possibly be, especially in a challenging environment like online. There has to be meaningful professional development, but there also has to be, for lack of a better way of putting this, incentive for this online development. And I'm not saying that always comes down to monetary incentive, but it certainly can. We always try to appeal to, what I consider to be the ultimate incentive, which is, what inspired you to be an educator in the first place, which is helping students grow and achieve their dreams and succeed in classes. And that's certainly worthwhile to appeal to, but also to make it professionally, even financially, worth their while at the same time. We've developed some in-house ways, I believe, to incentivize faculty that are pretty powerful, including a point system that can contribute to their base pay. And professional development's a big part of that. And in particular, we try to focus, I already said this, but we try to focus as much as we can on online development, both in design and delivery for faculty. We sometimes struggle, as I believe all institutions do, between administrative prerogative versus academic freedom in the classroom, both face-to-face and online. We need quality assurance. We all know that. We have certain compliance issues, both state and federal, that govern what we do. So how do you balance that with the faculty's need to experiment and be themselves in the classroom and deliver their content in the best way that they see fit according to their professional judgment?
Right.
I think faculty support development's a big one, and then I'll just do one more, which I'm sure we'll be talking about in another question much later today. But academic integrity and assessment, I'd say that is by far what is on both students and faculty's minds right now when it comes to the online environment.
We'll definitely talk about that. The other AI, both AIs.
So I won't get into that too much right now because I know we're going to be talking about it, all of us, a little later. But those were the two things that came to mind for me.
All right, thank you, Robbie. What about you?
Oh, the greatest challenges, yeah, like Phil said, there's so many. It's a challenging modality to teach. It always has been. Like Phil said, the two AIs. I was thinking in terms of just disruptive technologies in general. AI is the one that we're thinking about now, but not just how it sort of spins us for a loop, but how it really changes how courses have to be designed and how we approach teaching overall, and policies that need to be developed, and just the time that it takes to adopt or adapt to these new technologies. Academic integrity online is always been a tricky one, and it will always continue to be. We spend a lot of time thinking about that, and finding new ways to engage students. We can't always engage them with discussion boards or the same types of techniques. They're always hungry for something new, and finding those technologies and finding ones that work and they're effective and they meet instructors' needs in their various disciplines can be challenging too. Our film instructor will have a very different need than our engineering instructor. And those are fun to look for, and it's fun to see how those meet their needs. One that we get, I'm sure everybody gets, in Florida we have a lot, it's responding to emergencies. So we have hurricanes. We had a snow week this past term. And even looking back to the pandemic, when we have to rapidly adjust and flip, face-to-face classes to an online modality, and help instructors with those, and retool courses, those types of things. It's a unique challenge that we also have to face as we're coming through, and our timelines are so tight. And ensuring that we can support students is a real challenge in this.
Hey, can I just add one more thing? And Robbie just reminded me of it. With pandemic era the modalities that we had to adopt often, with about a week's lead time, I think.
Yep.
In that case, but hurricanes can also shut us down, temporarily anyway. But it's what I would call the challenge of just general public skepticism about whether online courses are as rigorous and effective as face-to-face ones. We have an entire quality enhancement plan, a component of our accreditation with SAC-COC that's focused on raising our online success rates in gateway math and English courses. And it grew directly out of our identification of just a general sort of legislative and public skepticism about the effectiveness of online teaching. So I think that's a big challenge for all of us too.
I agree.
Yeah. Public perception is a big thing right now. We all are hearing about it. It's in the news all the time. And, Robbie, you were talking about students changing expectations, which is kind of leading into this next thing. Sometimes we think of our younger students as having short attention spans, but guess what? Our older students do too. Everyone's attention spans are shortening. So it's interesting that way. Well, let's go on to then, as we're leading into changes, we do know we're constantly getting different expectations from our students and from our faculty as well. How do you anticipate that your online learners are going to change over the next 5 years, which is like an eternity in online learning, right? It's worse than dog years, I think. And what strategies might you use to adapt your current services to best serve your faculty and your students? And we will start off with Josh on this one.
All right, so everyone kind of set me up just perfectly for this. Over the last 5 years, I think we've seen that pace of change sped up by the pandemic. And I should note, we're in the small third of community colleges here at College of Central Florida, and we're traditionally a commuter campus, and our students mix and match our modalities based on just whatever their needs are that term, although we do have some fully online students. And we've seen a real change in students in all modalities since the pandemic. So I think it's kind of useful to think about where our students were then that we'll have in the next 5 years. And so depending on when your state or your county move in and out of emergency online instruction and back into the classroom, over the next 5 years, by my math, our students that have been in the 8th grade and then moving along, eventually third graders during that time period will be getting. And really, my observation is students don't have a lot of patience for higher education interfering with whatever their short and midterm priorities are in life. And probably for most of us, when we entered higher education, we looked at that as the big priority, and we expected all of our other things in life, our part-time job or whatever, to fit in around higher ed. And now I think students are expecting higher ed to fit in around all of these other things. When kind of the life opened back up during the pandemic, so to speak, we found lots of our students had gone out and gotten full-time jobs or 30-hour-a-week jobs, and they came back to us expecting us to be flexible around those jobs instead of those jobs being flexible around college. And it's also, I started thinking about, it's only going to be a few years before we start having faculty who graduated high school during the pandemic.
Yes.
Because it's been 4 or 5 years on now. So if they graduate in 2020 or 2021, they may have their bachelor's degrees by now. And a couple of years for a master's, we'll start seeing some of those individuals move into our faculty. So I think we have a threefold response. We need our value proposition. Public perception was mentioned. You hear a lot about that. If you turn on the news with either leaning, you're going to hear about students' perception of the value of higher ed. You hear about it from policymakers. So I think there's a lot of work we can do there. And in the opening panel for this series, Van Davis from WCET and others kind of spoke to that. So that's worth, give that a plug. Go back if you missed it and watch it. I think we need to build some more realistic expectations. There's with faculty and students. So on the student side, we need to be rebuilding that expectation of the priority that higher education needs to be and how they're setting up their lives. But also with faculty, several of us have done a lot of work in the regular and substantive interaction space. And I think we need to really be working with them to shore up that expectation of the role that they're going to be playing. And I think the last thing is continuing to create academically robust alternative models that will kind of meet the students where they are once we set those realistic expectations. I think the new modalities we're offering, like HighFlex and Live Online, micro-credentials, and accelerated programs are a good start, but I think we have more work to do beyond that.
Great points, Josh. And definitely our students do expect that higher education is going to fit around their lives. They're, like you say, they're working full time, and many of them have families or elderly parents or other things they're having to set as priorities. So, Kevin, do you want to
Yeah, I'd love
respond
to.
to this?
I'd love to piggyback on what Josh has set down. I mean, I want to piggyback specifically on the students that are coming in, that have been in the school since the pandemic. If we just look at the students that are going to be coming in next 3 to 4 years, that's the beginning of Generation Alpha, those born between 2010 and 2024. It's a different breed of students. I know we're all dealing with Generation Z right now, but these are true digital natives that are expecting digital usage. They're used to gamification for learning, or edutainment for that matter.
Right.
They're also expecting personalized learning experiences. They're looking for interactives and simulations. These are students that have grown up with XR and VR in their homes or within broader experiences. And they are more informed consumers, as Josh said. They're not going to tolerate process and bureaucracy that we've established over 300 years in our institutions. So how do we take this different learning style, these different expectations, but beyond accelerated terms and other different modalities? I think it's changing the way we do assessment, and making sure that these are peer-based opportunities, not only local, but global connections. We're looking at authentic assessment, either trying to solve real-world problems or looking at collaborative application of whatever the product is, so that these creators, the ones that are playing on TikTok or using CapCut or using other tools on their phones to build media, are going to want to do the same thing, direct it towards the common good. And these students have a sense of autonomy. They want student choice. So it may be the topic that they have to tackle, or it may be the product or the format that they produce it in. But I think we really need to help our faculty understand different strategies and different approaches to help that, whether that's UDL or that's open pedagogy or problem-based learning or whatever the case may be. But we also need to help our faculty increase their technical competencies in the platforms that the students are expecting.
Yes, completely agree. And if you think about Josh's point of in a couple of years, so if you think about people born in 2010, maybe in 10 years, they're going to be faculty. And how will they teach those with these expectations that you're talking about, where they're wanting more TikTok and more gamification? That's going to change our education system as they come into higher ed as faculty members. That's going to be very interesting.
And if we don't, they're going to go to Google credentials or go to Microsoft credentials, and they're going to avoid higher ed.
Exactly. Actually, one of my team members told me just this morning, he was talking with his niece, and she said, well, I feel like I can just Google everything I need to know, and I'm not sure I'm going to go to college. So, I think some people feel that way, and we have to help them understand the discernment, the connections, the context, the integration of, all those bits and pieces. It helps to have someone guide you along that path. So, well, we wouldn't be doing a webinar in 2025 if we weren't talking about AI and not academic integrity. Yes, it's there too, but the other AI, artificial intelligence. So as much as we're all suffering AI fatigue, we can't ignore it. How is your institution managing the challenges and opportunities that AI is presenting in education, especially in higher ed right now? And we'll start with Roz on this one.
Yeah, does talking about AI just make everybody else want to take a deep sigh like it does me?
Yes.
It's a conversation I think in our roles we're having quite a bit. And so I want to take the opportunity to start with the opportunities that and the way FSW's approached those. So kind of from a positive standpoint, but with the emergence of, Gen AI a couple years ago, FSW received funding to launch an Institute for Innovative and Emerging Technologies. And the director of the Institute has just done a fabulous job creating professional development opportunities on all kinds of topics related to AI for staff members, for students, for the community, and of course for faculty, both asynchronous and synchronous. And we've shared a lot of those things out, a set of AI badges that students can earn to help them prepare for the workforce. And together with Anna, the director of the Institute, her and I and our executive leadership has been supportive of her and I participating in the Florida AI Learning Consortium. And so we were part of the original group of individuals from around the state and higher ed that kind of launched Falcon, the Florida AI Learning Consortium. And so participating in Falcon and being a leader in that group, where we now have over a couple hundred members and 6 different special interest groups that are actively working on different topics related to AI, from scholarship to academic integrity to use cases, faculty development, workforce, you name it. We've probably talked about it. And I think being in that role has really helped us see that, everybody kind of feels like we're not doing enough. And in a way that's comforting to know that we're all at different stages of this. We've been successful at some things and having more challenges in others. And that story is the same across the state. So, I really appreciate that we've been given that opportunity to engage at that level with our colleagues. And that's helping us kind of bring that message back to the campus. When it comes to challenges, I think the obvious one, right? The other AI I've heard mentioned is academic integrity. That's the one that seems to bubble up over and over and over again as faculty are at different places in terms of their acceptance and adoptance and implementation and willingness to experiment. And so, we're still kind of battling that. But right from the get-go, we, with a task force of stakeholders, decided that we were going to approach this from a different angle that's not just catch the cheaters, but let's focus on the reasons why students are choosing that behavior, and how can we adapt our assessments, right? Kevin, you said we need to change the way we're doing assessment, period. That's hard given the faculty burnout and the change fatigue and everything else, like to change another thing, to have to redesign their course again. It's challenging, but we're getting there in baby steps. And I think we've really focused on kind of 2 aspects: that leaning into the self-determination theory, so giving students that autonomy, that choice, and the ARCS model for developing assessment. Does it get their attention? Is it relevant to them? Do they have a confidence that they can complete it? Are they satisfied doing it? And trying to frame our conversations in that way when we're getting complaints of faculty, reporting that everybody's using AI on this assessment, well, then perhaps it's time to rethink how we're doing that assessment. and let's build the culture of academic integrity around that. Is it perfect? No. Are we, but I think we are, as an institution, taking that strategy forward.
Very good. All right. Well, I know the rest of you have some things to say about that too. Kevin, you want to jump in?
I'll echo some of the same things that Roz shared. Is that we're fortunate to have academic leadership support all the way from the provost office. Our VP was fortunate to have some funding to allow for R&D opportunities so that we could test out a variety of AI tools. I think the way we've approached it is very similar. It's been sort of threefold. Looking at operational efficiencies, how can we use generative AI or AI in general to actually improve mundane routine operations? But then I think where we've also looked at is at learning improvements, and whether that is we can use AI to provide additional student supports through AI tutors or embedded AI bots within Canvas. And then we've really started to look at how we can actually help with faculty efficiencies, whether that's content generation, whether that's accessibility reviews, what have you. And then really looking at where are those student competencies? What are those core skills that students need to get into the workforce? The challenge, I think, is very similar to what Roz stated. And I think where we're going is AI is everywhere. It's embedded into search engines now. It's embedded into your smartphones. It's hard to set a hard and fast policy that says AI shall not, because it's hard to distinguish between those. I think what it is a somewhat of a refocus and looking at what are the specific outcomes? What are you actually measuring? And if you're measuring something that isn't looking at how the content was generated, whether it was AI assisted language or not, doesn't matter if AI was used in that particular format. And then we're also encouraging faculty to battle test their assessments with AI. So actually put your own assessment through ChatGPT and see what kind of results you get. So at least you can tweak it, or you can at least know what the expected outcome that students may have. So that's kind of where we are.
Makes sense. Robbie, what about you?
Oh yeah, no, Roz and Kevin nailed it here. We're in the same boat, and we've been looking. We've been surveying our faculty and looking at what people are doing, and yeah, we've been having this AI conversation for a long time now. It feels right, several years, but we're really far along this adoption curve. I mean, we're seeing at least 70% of our faculty and students are successfully implementing AI to some capacity in their teaching and learning, and are having success with it, and are comfortable experiment with the technology now. I mean, there's still that anxiety out there. But here, and what I'm hearing pretty much everywhere is we're embracing a sort of a faculty driven adoption of AI to, with guardrails and policies, for FERPA and IP and things like that. But really giving faculty the freedom to experiment and try things out on their own. We get them together pretty frequently. We have special interest groups all around our campus so that there can be an exchange of ideas across colleges or disciplines or within those groups. We'll have pilot groups, kind of what Kevin was saying. We'll have a technology that we want to try in particular scenarios. We were looking at co-pilot agents recently, and so we got computer science and we got a high enrollment class. So we just got several different people with several different use cases and put them in a group with Microsoft and developed agents and see how they work. Some were not effective and some were really great experiences. But we have these little pilot groups that are trying out tech. And I think one of the favorite things that we're doing here is our coffee chats. And we have an innovation center at FSU, and on Wednesday mornings, it's coffee and donuts, 5-minute presentation by somebody who wants to show something off, and then it's open discussion. So it's really fun hearing, we're getting past the doom and gloom conversations and really hearing about the things that faculty are doing that are helping students learn. And that's been really rewarding to see. So yeah, a lot of things going on here. I'll say for me, sorry, the big promise for me for AI, I love these student engagement tools, but I'm really excited to see where AI goes for accessibility and universal design, because I feel like that's the big frontier that's going to open up so many doors for students. So that's the thing that I'm following closely and watching as we move along.
Very true. AI is great for captioning images and things like that, so it'll only get better. And I'll add too that HCC has been having an AI book club. So they got the book Teaching with AI by Jose Antonio Bowen, and they've been holding meetings to talk about that book together, and that's been very popular. Leah, do you want to jump in on the AI bandwagon?
Yeah, I think the only thing that I'd really like to add is it's hard, but I think we're being very conscious and resisting the urge to like adopt everything.
Mm-hmm.
And really try to figure out like what serves the mission and how do you still foster discovery,
Mm-hmm.
and really still and not, add 40 tools that nobody uses, but have like, a good amount of tools that are really driving impact. The one thing that we are kind of quasi-liberally doing is turning on AI features of our current tools that we already have adopted. A lot of them are like, Canvas, the search feature. There's different things in a tool that we've already very well adopted that just enhance the experience there. Those are a little bit of a lighter lift, and the user doesn't really have a big learning curve there. They kind of, fall in line with the ease that it brings. And we do have a task force. I think what's interesting about the way our institution has handled this is that this group doesn't approve, tools. It's almost like we're finding out in all the different pockets of the institution how faculty and or admin and or even our facilities found a really cool way to use it for their case management system,
Oh,
how they're utilizing it to learn and figure out like, what kind of expansion can be built upon that. And at the very least, bring all the resources together for everyone to know that they're available. So it's taken on a different path than I think any other introduction to education for us. So that has been interesting.
that's cool. There is a fine line between whole hog and, having some discernment. And you can't spell restraint without AI. So anyway, all right, Josh.
I'm going to yield. I want to hear what Robbie has to say about the next question, so I'm going to yield for time's sake.
Okay, yeah, we are running out of time real quick here. So if you could wave a magic wand, and we all want a magic wand right now for so many reasons, but if you could wave a magic wand and change one thing in online learning, what would that change be? So, Robbie,
I'm up.
you
I'm
won the
up on
coin
this one.
toss to start off.
No, I'm gonna echo what has already been said, and it's if I could wave a magic wand, it would be to find a way to ease the amount of additional work that's required of instructors to develop really engaging online classes so that they have more time to interact with their students and to have fun teaching and to really dig in and be creative. There's so much more work that's involved in online learning that you don't necessarily have in the classroom. Or in the classroom, you can pivot a lot more quickly in standing up an activity than you can online. So that would be my magic wand moment.
That's a nice one. That is like world peace for faculty, I think. They would, any faculty on here, I'm sure, are applauding you right now because their jobs do get harder as we ask them to do authentic assessments and other things like that, which, make a big difference here. What about you, Roz? I know you like a good magic wand.
I was going to say, I love the magic wand question. And Robbie, you stole my answer. I'm just always worried about the people and thinking about the people involved in this. And so I know that learning happens best when the relationships between their faculty and the students and the activities and the engagement is strong. So I guess if I could wave a magic wand, it would be to take away all the technology barriers that might exist in terms of skill level and to give everybody enough time to really be able to enjoy the learning process and teaching again, right? Find that joy of teaching. I hear that from a lot faculty, that takes a lot of effort in online, and it does. But it
Right.
can be really rewarding. And so I wish that everybody kind of just had the energy to dive into that fully and, take away. Maybe AI will do that for us in time, is kind of free us from some of the other more administrative burdens and kind of boring tasks. So we can do fun human stuff.
Well, and all these things that we're learning, and we want our faculty to learn and our students to learn about AI. And I see that Kevin posted a link to the UCF AI lesson plan repository, which I'm definitely going to be checking that out later. So I appreciate that. I don't think I was trying to look at the Q&A. It didn't look like there were any questions in the Q&A, unless I'm missing something. I'm sure Kathleen or Brooke will let me know. But anyone else want to throw something in on the magic wand? I used to have one. Somebody made me a magic wand. It broke. So I think that happened during the pandemic. Go ahead, Josh.
I'll throw out, Vicki, that we've heard a lot lately about higher ed in general, the model kind of running its course, phrases like end of the runway or turning the battleship or those sorts of things. So my magic wand is that we could get to whatever next model of online learning that is going to take us through the next era, whether that's 5 years or 30 years or whatever it is. All of the processes that we're embedded in, US DOE rulemaking, accreditation, internally with shared governance or collective bargaining, all of those things are set up to take a great amount of time. And so in order to get to whatever this next model is going to be, we're going to have to break out of that 1 to 2 years to make a change model. And I would, so that would be my magic wand, is to be able to just get through all that and be able to affect change.
Maybe if we use the magic wand to make a crystal ball, then we could see what was going to happen and we could anticipate. How's that for an answer?
That sounds like cheating.
Well,
you can't wish for more wishes.
To do it. I'm just saying we use our magic wand. Well, thank you so much, all of you. On behalf of the FLVC Executive Committee, I want to thank all the panelists and all the participants. I hope that you've found some gems in this discussion, or at least got a laugh at some point in time. Thank you all. Have a great day. And I guess this is the end of our Quality Teaching and Learning Month. And I hope it's been good for everyone.